Morning, guys. Morning, morning, morning. Good morning. How is everybody doing today? Happy Wednesday morning. I hope that you're having a magnificent week. I hope you're having a tremendous week. I'm having a really good week this week. I am feeling so much better than last week. Thank you for sticking it out with me while I was so sick last week. I got some good downtime this weekend. Been reading a ton of books. This is a 15 book month. I will have my month in review up Saturday, and you'll be able to see that. But yeah, 15 book month. I am going on a no book buy ban again because I am like 20 days from my massive vacation. Absolutely thrilled about that. But I do not plan to buy any books. I don't care how much I want them until after vacation. In doing so, I have hundreds of books on my TBR. When I tell you hundreds of books on my TBR, hundreds of books on my TBR that I'm hoping to get through. I also have 10 books on hold at the library and 2 currently checked out. So I'm wanting to get through those as well. I need to get through the Blood and Ash series before the new book comes out in July. Though I don't need to buy it as soon as it comes out because I will be on vacation when the newest book 5 in that From Blood and Ash series comes out. And I do not plan to read that on my vacation. I plan to read something that's more on theme with where I am in Scotland and Ireland. I've got a couple of Nora Roberts and maybe even a little historical fiction picked out for my time in Scotland and Ireland. So, that being said, we are coming up quickly on the time where I'll be leaving and we'll be taking a break in the videos, about a 2-week break. I'm going to try to have at least 2 videos uplined to come up, so you get at least 1 a week while I'm on vacation. They will probably be reviews of books that you may be like, didn't she read this last month? She never gave us a review on it. Yes, I read it probably in June, and I never did a review on it because I read 15 books in June and didn't do 15 book reviews. So you may see a book or a video next month. I know I'm probably going to do the flat share, which you will see in my video on Saturday. I read this month and didn't do a review for it. I'm going to go ahead and record that review and have it queued to come up next month while I'm on vacation, because at first it was a book that I was like, okay, a really good rom-com. I've read lots of really good rom-coms. The flat share was excellent. But the more that I've sat on that book, the more I want to talk about it and the different underlying themes that were in that book that made it so good. And I don't feel like that book should be glossed over. So I do want to do a review for it, and you will get it next month while I'm on vacation. So yeah, look forward to that. Also, probably either next week or the week after, you're going to get a international what I pack in my carry-on vlog. I am a military brat. If you didn't know, I have lived overseas 2 times in my life, but been traveled internationally a lot. And so I consider myself a really good traveler. I've got a lot of experience in it. And so I'm going to show you what is in my carry-ons. I take a shoulder bag, like not a purse. You guys know I'm a purse girl, and I've always got my Coach purses or my Michael Kors purses that sling on my arm. This is not that. We don't take those when we're traveling. We're going to have a shoulder bag. If you remember my Disney vlog, I think I showed you it. It'll probably be the same bag that is worn in the front. So it's typically a shoulder bag that you put on your back, but I wear it reverse, which means that the pouch portion is on my chest and the strap is in the back. So that will be my walking around the port cities bag. And then I also have a carry-on that I will show you everything that's in that carry-on that is absolutely crucial for a 9-hour flight. That is crucial for what if my luggage doesn't make it to the cruise ship, which I'll be screwed if my luggage doesn't make it there within 24 hours because we get on our cruise ship the next day. But hopefully our luggage makes it there because I'll have 14 days worth of clothes in there. And if you guys want to see my suitcase also, let me know. It is a 14 and a half, well, technically 15 by the time you count travel time, day trip. And so I will not have laundry access. So I'm packing for 15 total days, and I can show you how I do that also if you want that. But this has been a really long intro for something that has absolutely nothing to do with what we are talking about today. Today, we are talking about Brandon Sanderson's The Lost Metal, the end of Era 2 Mistborn. I was really excited to read this book after listening to the Crochet Fairy and Evolved Review do a Brandon Sanderson ranking, Cosmere ranking over on the Evolved Review channel. And I watched it on Spotify. They are adorable. I love them both so much. They're so near and dear to my heart, those two people. And I had not read The Lost Metal yet, and I had not read Tress yet. I still have not read Tress because I really want a pretty copy. I am being stingy and waiting on a pretty copy. But I ended up, after literally listening to them do their Tress review, I was going to borrow, not their Tress review, their Cosmere review and ranking. I was going to borrow The Lost Metal from either Evolved Reviews Caleb or from the library, and literally bought the book as soon as their Cosmere review was done, because I was like, no, I need to know how this wraps up, because this is the wrap up for Era 2 Mistborn. I will preface this video with a few things. First, I want to say I liked the book. I liked The Lost Metal, okay? Because I don't want you to take some of my critiques and say, oh, wow, she didn't like this book. No, I liked the book. I thought that the book was very good. There are a few things that are unique to myself that I think either one, I did wrong, or two, are just quirks of my own, okay? So, to preface this, the way that I read the Cosmere was Mistborn Era 1. The first 3 books of Mistborn Era 2. Stormlight. All of the novellas in their order throughout there. Elantris last. And then I came back to The Lost Metal. Because if you know, you know, there are a lot of surprise pop-up characters in The Lost Metal, and I needed to have read Stormlight and these other books. There were some spoilers for Rhythm of War in The Lost Metal, so you had to have read all of Stormlight. But if I could go back and make one correction to how I did this, I would do this. Mistborn Era 1, Stormlight, or even Stormlight first, it depends on the person, honestly. I'm going to say it depends on the person. If they are intimidated by these bulky, lengthy, wordy world-building Stormlight books, then okay. Mistborn Era 1, Stormlight Archives. Mistborn Era 2, succinctly in order. That is the way I would do it. Now, if you are somebody who is a Sanderson stan, if you solely read Sanderson, or at least that is your primary source of reading material, and you do rereads, and you just live in that world up here a lot, you can read those and as they come out. Like, you could have waited from Bands of Mourning to The Lost Metal and been fine, because you know what? You are a wax and wane up here all the time. For me, somebody who reads as many books as I do, which is a cool thing, and it's really great because I'm able to devour and appreciate a lot of works at one time. However, it is a bad thing because since reading Bands of Mourning, I've probably been in 27 different worlds up here and read some amazing, incredible literary works between Bands of Mourning and The Lost Metal. So it took me, I'd say 25 to 30% of the book in the beginning to get reacquainted with these characters, this cast of characters, and to care about this cast of characters. And that is a flaw within myself. I typically like to read as close as I can series. So like I'm reading the From Blood and Ash books right now. I read book 1 and 2 back to back. Took a little bit of a break where I'm reading The Lost Metal and Love Actually, or Love Theoretically. And then I'm going to jump back into book 3. I will read book 4. And then I will have to wait a little bit, maybe a month before book 5 comes out. So that is how I'm reading From Blood and Ash. With Agatar, I did it the exact same way. I think this is why I can't get into Throne of Glass very well. Because the first couple of books have not been my favorite. I've read Assassin's Blade and Throne of Glass. I've started Crown of Midnight, but I'm like 2 chapters in, and then I ended up reading something else that dropped from the library. But because of the fact that I'm not reading these chronologically, like back to back to back, because I'm letting months go by in between, I think that that's why I cannot get into the Selena Saldathian story of Throne of Glass. Like, the characters, I'm just not invested in them. So that kind of hit me a little bit here in The Lost Metal. But I will say it is a really, really good book. I really liked the way that things were wrapped up, and I loved all the pop-ups. You have, okay, so from here on out, we're going to have spoilers. So warning, if you haven't read Mistborn, if you haven't read Lost Metal, if you want to read these books, stop here, because I'm going to start telling you things that happen in the Lost Metal, okay? Okay, if you've read it, if you're not going to read it, if you like spoilers, continue. We get so many pop-ups. We get Calcira, of course. That's the big pop, I feel like. We get Marsh. We get Sace. We get Hoyd. We get Moonlight, who is Shay. We get so many Ghost Blood references. So many Ghost Blood references. That's why I was told you cannot read Lost Metal before the Stormlight Archive up to date, because it ruins the Calcir Ghost Blood spoiler at Rhythm of War. So there's so many tie-ins through all of the Cosmere in this series. I really, really enjoyed it. I just think that Wax and Wayne and I always say her name wrong, Marcy. They weren't my favorite Cosmere characters. So I found myself living for those pop-ups when I was reading Lost Metal. Like, I found myself hoping for those pop-ups just because, I don't know, Wax and Wayne just weren't my favorite Cosmere characters. And I know I'm going to get so much hate for this. I love Wax. I think Wax and Wayne is my favorite. Wayne, he pulls on your heartstrings. I will also, my only other critique is this one was, I saw the ending coming on this one from the prologue. When Brandon really started giving you the sob story of Wayne's life, I was like, Wayne ain't making it out of this one. I think after the prologue, I turned to my husband and I said, Wayne isn't making it out of this book. I'm telling you right now, there's been too much that he has dealt with emotionally that they're bringing back up. Too many blanket statements about how nobody cares about him. No, he's not an important person. He's nobody. There was no way he was making out of this book alive. He was going to save the world, and he was going to die doing so, but he was going to be happy because, you know what, his life meant something. And I did see that coming. Doesn't make it any less good, doesn't make it any less awesome for him, but I think it did lessen the emotional blow for me because I had a whole book of seeing it coming to prepare myself emotionally and mentally for that one, right? Because it was an emotional blow. Whether Wax and Wayne are my favorite or not, this is a character that I've read for 3 novels now, and I didn't want to see him die. But it is what it is. He needed to for the storyline, and I think that it was done really, really well. I was happy to see him finally find some kind of self-happiness and appreciation for himself. So, that being said, out of, how am I going to rank this? Out of 10, whereas I gave Words of Radiance a 10 out of 10, I would give In the Cosmere this one probably a solid 8. I would go 8 with it. I liked it better than I liked, say, Oathbringer in the Stormlight, or the second book in the first Mistborn era. It is literally leaving my brain. That's how much I don't remember that book. But yeah, I like it better than some. I would never rank anything below a 7. That is Brandon Sanderson. Those are 7s, I would say. Oathbringer or God, why can't I think of the name of this book? Somebody is watching this who is a Sanderson person, and I can probably name names, and is screaming the name of the second Mistborn Era 1 book at me. But I can't think of it off of the top of my head. So, yeah. I would give this one solid 8, 8.3. I enjoyed the book a lot. I did see the Wayne stuff coming, but like I said, it could just be my literary knowledge, my reading of a lot of fantasy novels that I was like, oh, that's where he's going with this. I bet you anything. So yeah, it was incredibly good. I loved all the pop-ups. I wish I had either gone back and done an era to reread before this book, or at least read it a little bit closer to Bands of Mourning, strictly for my own preference. So I would have had to have spent 20+% of the book just trying to get invested in these characters again. I can tell you at what point I got invested. When Milan, however you pronounce her name, when she was breaking up with Wayne, I started being like, okay, I remember Wayne's character. I remember what kind of guy he is. That was about the point. And I think that was between 17 and 22% of the book on my Kindle. So, yeah. Good book, though. Solid Sanderson work, which means there was a lot of action. Okay, so in Mistborn, I find that there's a lot more action than there necessarily is in Stormlight, where in Stormlight you have tons of world building, tons of character building, tons of things going on, and then you get your action at the end, where in Mistborn, I feel like he really gives you a lot of action. Just kind of what, at least Era 2, the nature of Wax and Wayne. So it makes it a very quick read. Read this one in just over 24 hours. Stayed up way past my bedtime last night to finish it, but absolutely loved it. So yeah, if you are a Sanderson person, absolutely loved Lost Metal. It was fantastic. Absolutely loved it. Cannot, do too many qualms with it, other than mildly predictable. And I know some of my friends who did not like the doppelganger characters because they were a little bit predictable and not Sanderson style. And I can agree with that as well. But yeah, I enjoyed the book. I love you guys so, so much. This has been like a 20, 30-minute vlog. I have no idea how long this vlog has been going now because I've gone all over the place. But it's going to be a long one for you this Wednesday. I love you guys so much, and have an amazing, incredible rest of your week. Saturday, you'll have your monthly wrap-up for the month of June, which is going to be insane with all of the books I've read, but it's going to be fun. I love you so much. Bye.